with, of course, Bob Swanson. I had known Bob Swanson from grade school, you know, probably from the time he was in second or third grade, you know, and we grew up together in the West Side. And so, you know, and everything was really somewhat informal from the standpoint that if you knew somebody or you ran into somebody that you knew that was from your hometown or whatever, it was like you were long lost brothers. You know, this was the way it was. You know, with Bob. So.
So was it a chance encounter?
Yes, it was really a chance encounter because you know, I happened to see, well, as you're walking along and you see a group of fellas that are just like you see in this picture that are looking over, you know, they're all dressed up in uniform, they're on guard duty and everything, and he was on duty, and you know, you look at somebody and, hey, I know him. That's Bob Swanson. You know, that's a type of thing, and I just happened to be at the time with Justice Jackson. I can't even remember what we were talking about, you know, and we were chatting about Warren County and Jamestown, you know, at the particular time, and that's when we ran into Bob, and I just introduced him. Yeah. But you know, it's just like really. And Jackson, he didn't put on any airs or anything. He was friendly as could be, just like running into somebody the same as the way we're sitting here at the present time. Yeah. You know, it was just, you know, one of those things. You know, here's Justice Jackson, and of course he knew who Justice Jackson was, of course.
Sure.
So it was just a friendly introduction.
First meet him?
I first got to see him when he was, and I don't even remember what he came to Warren for, but he was already in Washington, and as I recall, at that time, I believe it was somewhere around 1941 or 42 when he was down. He came to Warren for some occasion, and that was when I first met him, and of course, you know, it was a sense of pride to be meeting someone who had attained such a high position, and here he was back in our area just to visit, and of course to be honored that he was the principal speaker.
Paths crossed again in Germany.
Yes, at the time when our paths crossed again, I had been ordered to go into Nuremberg because the group that was in effect headed by Jackson, they naturally, we have to remember that it was the end of the war. They were conquering heroes, and unfortunately, in many instances, they acted that way. Mm-hmm. And there was certain acts of depredation and that type of thing. And of course, there were all kinds of motor vehicle accidents and incidents, and in most cases, in most instances, what happened was that when I say we, I mean the American Armed Forces were at fault. Like, there'd be a traffic accident between Strassenbahn, the streetcars, and our people, and what had happened was that they didn't even bother to file any reports or anything else. And it was a position of the United States, properly so, that we had to start conducting ourselves properly and be responsible for our actions, whatever they may be. So, you know, there was instances where in some places there were, in the course of a month, there would be up to 200 traffic accidents between the United States Army vehicles and streetcars.
Through the staff, that's how you actually met Bob?
That's how, right, that's how I saw Justice Jackson, and of course, I just, the few times, you know, I met him and everything after the first time, telling him where I was from Warren, Pennsylvania, and of course he said he had been born in Warren County. I says, oh yes, we all know that, and he just remembered who I was, and I told him that someday I'd be back practicing law in Warren, Pennsylvania. And,
what kind of guy was he? Describe him.
He was very pleasant, and he was one of those individuals that he looked the part of an important person. He carried himself well. He had a pleasant approach, winning smile, and he was friendly, and he was someone that you felt comfortable with, and of course, you know, the fact that I was, at that particular time, I was a neophyte lawyer, was interesting to him, because he knows, I mean, he remembers what he went through and everything. And of course, the fact that even at that time, I knew I knew of his work with the utilities and everything, and he was considered one of the best in the country, and that's why President Roosevelt made him go to Washington, and he started to move up the ladder, and knowing everything he did. Of course, I wasn't the only one, but anyone, as I say, that was from Warren County, that was overseas, we all knew everything that Justice Jackson had done. What a tremendous record he had at the time, and we had the greatest admiration and respect for him. So, you know, after meeting him the one time and everything, you know, everybody knew each other, and of course, we were all, you know, in effect in service at the time, so you were saluting any senior officer or anybody. This was the type of thing that...
Did you salute him?
No, because he had, they were all civilians, so that it wasn't necessary to salute him, and he